You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch!
Hi-yo.
Mitch.
What up, Mitch?
Orderly Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch.
What up, Mitch? Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
What up, Mitch?
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch! Hey, Mitch, you cool, you
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch. Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
On tonight's episode of Hey Mitch, I am welcoming guest Bitsy Tandem, who has a really cool Kickstarter on going right now for her book, manga book, anime. I don't know what's the best way to describe it. Maiden in disguise.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to describe. You can call it a comic or you can call it a manga, which is just a comic book with a Japanese style. In Japan, I've heard it both ways.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they don't really have that distinction that we have in America. Like, this is manga and this is comic. They're just like, oh, you make stuff. Great. I love it.
I mean, I do want to say at this moment that this is probably the furthest interview that I've done so far, because you're all the way in Japan as we talk, correct?
Yes, all the way across the ocean. I live in Miyazaki-ken, which is prefecture. So Miyazaki Prefecture is like the surfing prefecture, and they're all chill and laid back. And supposedly it's the sunny one, but it's usually cloudy.
and if I can ask, how long have you been over there?
Almost 2 years now. So we came over via the JET program, which is an English teaching exchange. So my husband teaches English at the local high school, and I draw all day, every day.
Hey, I mean, it goes into what you're making here. So, what is it? How would you describe Maiden in Disguise?
So it is a gamer-based comic, I guess. I normally just say comic because people get that it's a book. It's follows a gamer girl, so it's a sci-fi romance fantasy twist. It's kind of like an intelligent take on like a typical anime slice of life. You're taking that and twisting it into a little bit like more layers, a little more meat. So it follows two characters. You have the main character, Eliana, and her in-game character, Elrond Agrenar. It follows her life in the real world, which is a fake world called Eoterra, and her video game character in his universe. So they're two separate stories, and they're both completely like their own stories because it's high role play and she like is this character, so it's like his life and her life, and it kind of goes back and forth in between those two, and a lot of layers, and it's kind of really hard to explain.
I mean, looking over the Kickstarter and looking over the free chapters that you had on there and the art and stuff like that, which you are both the writer and the artist, it is very interesting and looks like quite the tale to tell. You have the two characters, even though one is an avatar for the other, as two separate characters.
Yes. Yeah, and character Elrond Agrenar is like this really popular video game character that she does live streams and she doesn't show her face. They're all full role play, like she is this character, and people love it. They eat it up. She's known around the world, and she's kind of trying to find who she is in the midst of all of this fame and craziness going on, as well as video game character kind of has to overcome his internal turmoil to step up to the level that he needs to. And like, how do I explain this? So I have this thing in video game world where there are lore characters. So there's 10 or 8 lore characters, and actually directly influenced the story of the video game, and they were given to the top 8 beta testers. So she has one of those. So she has to, as her character, step up to the plate and accomplish things that other people don't have to do and guide the story. It's a lot of responsibility for a 14-year-old girl
Mm-hmm.
who is just shy and awkward on the inside. So it's like she is 2 people and 1 person at the same time, and it's a struggle, I guess, but it's a fun story to tell for sure.
That's awesome. So, was there other influences that helped you create this world and these characters, or was there? I mean, was there anything else that you wanted to put spotlight on? Is there anything that basically makes it that someone else that would be getting into this world be like, oh, this is similar to this?
It's hard to say it's similar to anything because it's kind of really just, I've never seen anything like it before, which I suppose everybody's like, mine's original, but it's more just like, it's not just one, it's 2 series. So you could say it's like a little bit of School Rumble, which is my favorite anime, but it's also, Dimension W or like Sword Art Online, except not. So it's not there's not like any one specific story influence other than like my life and my personal experience in high school, being a gamer girl and getting a lot of like harassment. So, yeah.
I mean, that's understandable. It's not a friendly environment sometimes, and the fact that you used it to create something is a positive. So that's pretty awesome. What is it that you would love for people to take away from this book?
So the goal at the end of the day is to show people overcoming struggles like Avatar: The Last Airbender in a very uplifting manner, so that you leave feeling empowered, excited, uplifted, inspired. Because every episode of like Avatar you watch, there's heavy themes. They go over a lot of real stuff, and then it's like, wow, I think I learned something about myself along this journey too. So we're kind of trying to inspire kindness and self-growth and self-worth, even if you're, shy and awkward and don't feel like you can put a lot into the world unless you're a 8 foot tall dragon man.
This isn't your first project, though, is it?
So yes and no.
Okay.
Maiden in Disguise was my first project I ever created, like actually into the real world. But we're actually remaking it completely. So I have the original books. They're bad. So I made this. Look at that art. Ooh, it's nothing like the new book. So I took this concept that I made when I was just starting out. Didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I just need to make something, and I know this. And I had the world of Eoterra in my head, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a story on Eoterra, but not my important baby that I'm saving for when my drawing is really good. We haven't gotten there yet. So 5 years later, I'm like, the story really deserves, my current skill set and telling in a way that can do it justice, because this is not doing it justice. Can you see that? Ooh, it's bad. I showed you the worst page. I hate that piece of art. I hate it so much. It's awful. I made it in like 2013. It's been a while. So
I mean, if that's the way you feel about it, at least it shows that you've grown and you like the way things look now. So that's the important part. Now, since that is a project that it's a subject that you're redoing and recreating in the world, how have you found that process? Like, how has it been to essentially dissect the world that you already created and retool it?
It's been wonderful.
Okay.
I honestly think it's been incredibly freeing, and just it feels really good. Like I had this concept and this story that was okay and people liked it and there was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't what I felt like it wasn't what I saw in my brain. Like I have this cinematic imagination. I'm like, it's just not anything like what I'd like to see. So we dissected everything last year. We ripped it all apart. We put it back together in a way that will build the continuity and the understanding of the characters right from the get-go, so we don't confuse people this time, and tell it in a much better way with obviously 10 times better art. And it's just been amazing to see it come to life, and I'm like, wow, this is what I always saw in my head, and I can't believe it's real now. And you can see it and read it and hopefully soon touch it and feel it, and it's just been incredibly fulfilling seeing it come to life in a whole new light.
So if the first book came out in 2013, how long have you been living with these characters?
So I started it in, I have to count. It's 2012, 2000, probably, I think 2013 was the first year that I started it. I was publishing like page by page. So by the time, so let me restate that. So I think I started in 2013, actually putting it out into the world. So it would have been 2012, math, when I started creating the concepts and the characters. That's what, 10 years? Wow. Holy cheese and crackers. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. I tell you, I was 19 yesterday, and this was all on a piece of scratch paper I made after Go DaikoCon. Oh my gosh. It's insane. Because I came up with all of this after boothing at Go DaikoCon when I was just learning how to draw and illustrate, and I was just selling my little drawings, like, I'll draw you. I was like, ooh, I should make a comic.
So what would you say is the biggest difference between the characters then and the characters now? Like, what have you changed? What have you gotten rid of?
There definitely has been a lot of change in the side characters. So the main character, like I said, she's a lot like who I was when I was like 13. Tomboyish, very shy, very awkward, wallflower. So she's pretty much been the same from the get-go. But the side characters, originally it was a gag manga. So they weren't anything. There was no substance in the side characters. And they've become beautiful people that I love now. So she joins the AV club, and there's a cast in there. And originally I'm like, there's the leader who's just some obnoxious guy with big glasses. There's like this brooding guy in the corner, and there's the really happy one who she has a crush on, right? Right. Easy. And now it's like, okay, we've got layers to Billiam, who is the guy with the big glasses, and why he's obnoxious. You know, he's not just obnoxious for no reason. People typically have tragic backstories for that. And then there's like the brooding guy in the corner. He's got his own full story arc now that's gonna go kind of intertwined with the cyborg character. And then Fluffy Happy Boy is still pretty much fluffy and happy, but he's gonna have some character growth. And it's just seeing like these characters who I was like, that one's just a trash character. I don't know. It's like random. And it's like, no, let me put some time and effort into these people and make them people. That's been really cool to see. Oh, wow. That makes sense. And I can see how why they would be in the AV club and why they would interact with the main character like this. It's just a lot better.
So the people who had read the book the first time around, like, how are they taking to the Redux version of these characters?
So far, everybody's liking it. I had a very long hiatus, so I would say my readership went down to like 10 people, which is, I mean, there's more than 10, but 10 of them talk to me on a regular basis, and they love it. They're like, I'm so glad, I like seeing Ellie's aggression in real life now. Like, She's got that like internal like Elrond Agrenar aggression in her, and they're like, we never got to see that in the last one, and now we can see how she's like bubbles out of her at moments. And there's like story continuity is a lot better, so people are like, oh, I see what you were trying to do there, and now it makes a lot more sense because you explained it better from the beginning. It wasn't just like, oh guys, also they're on a different planet. I didn't tell you that, but they are. So it's been really good, and it does follow the same flow. So the first couple books will be following the original web comic, and so you'll get to be like, oh, that's that moment that I read like years ago where she like first got introduced and elaborated upon and brought to life in a much more full manner. And it's really cool. So it's been fun being like, oh, I remember that panel specifically, but it's got so much more context around it now. People have been liking it.
Good. So as you've grown as a person and gotten older, have you seen that yourself changing up your characters in the same way?
Kind of. I definitely originally it was just supposed to be a gamer girl who gets a lot of hate for being a girl, so she just kind of accepts that she looks like a boy, and just is like, I'm just like one of the guys. And so that concept has totally changed because the world has changed and people change. And being a girl gamer isn't that controversial anymore. Thank goodness. I mean, it's still, you get some flack here and there, but for the most part, people are learning to accept it.
Yeah.
So that's changed a lot. So it's not really a fight the man comic anymore. It's more of a coming of age and a finding oneself kind of story. So I would say that changed more than the individual characters. It's definitely, you can definitely see the maturity level, like, woo, go right up.
Now, you said you went to school for art?
Oh,
no, you're just learning to draw.
So, in high school, I started art classes, and I was totally terrible at it. I was not that talented kid. I sat next to the talented kid, though. He was awesome. Wow, he's a tattoo artist now, and just blows my mind every time. I'm over here making my like derpy anime characters. Like, I made a story about this one. You want to know what it is?
Hey, you're making it work for you, so that's fine. So then, after the art classes, are you completely self-taught in drawing and in graphic design?
Yeah, completely. So, I mean, YouTube has helped. Back when I was learning, all we had was Draw with Jazza. That was like it. And so I tried my best to learn anatomy and get anatomy books and figure it out on my own. And it was really hard. And last year when we were rewriting the story, I was like, okay, I'm going to take some time and buy some like higher end classes. So I did get a couple like, not professional grade, but I like some of my favorite artists have like tutorials. So I went through and like did another like slam of knowledge. And that's what really leveled it up this last year, because I had that foundation that I built over since 2019. I've been trying to learn how to draw. It's been a struggle every step of the way. And then like last year, I got a couple tutorials from my favorite artists and it just made sense now. I was like, oh, that's what they're saying. I get it now. Let me replicate that in my own unique way. And it's just been like a breath of fresh air. It's like, thank you, art gods. Finally, I can draw well. It only took 20 years? 10 years. 10 years. So,
what about on the writing side of it? Did you take classes for that, or was that all self-taught as well?
All self-taught as well. A little less teaching in that one. That's more of my natural talent, I guess. Okay. It's like the stories. It's just bubble out of me. They're all in there. My imagination is vast and crazy, and you don't want to go in. But I'm dyslexic, so writing it was always a struggle. And like I said, in high school, I would draw a character and make a story about it. And I'd try to actually write the story by hand in my notebook. And I go back 3 years later and I'm like, I can't read this at all. It's just bad. Words are not my strong suit. But kind of write now like a screenplay. So I've been taking like classes online more for like screenplay writing and learning how to just express myself with as little words possible, but get the point across so that I can continue with the actual dialogue. So that's been really helpful. Like finding your personal style of writing, whether it be more of the novelist, descriptive, or more of like the screenplay is kind of like you have descriptive, but it's also got mostly the dialogue and movement happening, which I find really thrive there. I just kind of thrive right there. And then there's more of the script writing for comic book authors, writing for artists, which is more like panel one, line one, like this panel, panel. I can't really get into the panelage bit. I don't know why. My panels are random. I'm like, I kind of see it like that. Panel. Yeah. Then my assistant, aka my husband, will come and be like, that's stupid. You don't need that panel. Get rid of it. You can do it all on that panel. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Good idea. Less things to draw.
Less things to draw, always good.
Yeah.
So what have you found to be the biggest struggle in putting together a whole book?
Doing it,
Yeah.
drawing. It. People always tell me like, "Wow, you get to draw every day," and I'm like, "No. I have to draw every day, every single day. 9 o'clock to like 10 p.m. I'm drawing, and it's insane." And it is killing my body, honestly. Good gosh. Yeah, but it's like, it's the only way I can tell my stories because I don't have a budget for a movie and I can't do the novel thing. So I have to tell them. It's like in me. I don't know, that like weird ambitions. Like, I gotta do it. I have to do it. So I have to draw every single day, and it's monotonous and it's hard and it kills sometimes. And it can be like, you post one thing and people are like, that art sucks. And it's just like, really, it's a struggle. Just do that every single day and not let yourself stop, even when you're discouraged or sad.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, don't let people discourage you is definitely a good message to take out of that. Now, you talk about not having the budget for a movie, but is that the hope for Maiden in Disguise to eventually be a movie or TV show?
There's definitely hope for that, or like an anime would be awesome. So most people, comics is like their thing and that's their goal. My goal is not comics. Comics right now is just a means to an end to tell my stories in an enjoyable manner. Me, I want to create so much more. So I want to have, the blockbuster movies. I want to have the animations. I want to have video games is kind of the biggest one. So we're trying to lay the groundwork for a AAA entertainment company. That's the goal. Mm-hmm. And if you don't aim for it, you won't get there. So who knows if we'll make it in my lifetime or not. But Ioterra Entertainment is going to try its best. Ganbatte ne.
Do you ever have in mind someone to play the characters that you're creating?
Yes, so kind of. I wouldn't do like live action. I don't know why live action just freaks me out, honestly. It just like, I'm like, oh, it's ugly. I don't like real people. They look weird. Give me the animations. But I've kind of been talking about it for a while. Like, who would be better as like Big Papa Rayonix, and who would do better as like Elrond? Would it be Vin Diesel or The Rock? Yeah. And it's like last night we were talking about it again, and we were like, okay, so Elrond Agrenar is main character's video game character, he would be played by The Rock because he has that more of that like charm and he can do more of a playboy. So it's like definitely The Rock. And then his father, which is a big pivotal person in the video game itself, because lore character, his father's the lore. So Big Papa Rayonix would be played by Vin Diesel because he's got that like gravelly, which is just silly.
I love it.
We've got half dragon, then the dragon blood, or like the sons of the half dragon or daughters. There's a lot. So yeah, it's the lore. There's so much. Like I could sit here all day and tell you about the video game, and it will eventually be a video game if all goes right. But
good.
First, books. Second, books in Japanese, or sometimes simultaneous books and books in Japanese. Yes, the goals. A tabletop game. Who knows what will happen after that?
I mean, the sky's the limit. I love it. What has the Kickstarter process been like for you?
I kind of love it and hate it. So preparing a Kickstarter page is a great way to light a fire under your butt. I was taking 2 months to do this last chapter, and then I got it done in 3 weeks. Less than that, maybe, because I was like, oh, Kickstarter's coming. Gotta finish it. And so, but it's also a great way to burn yourself out. So I kind of like putting together the pages and the rewards and being like, oh, these are some fun things. I don't know if anybody will want them, but I made a lamp, okay? I found a person who will drop ship lamps for me, and I made a lamp. And I'm like, if y'all want a lamp, I've got a premium tier, and we have a lamp, and maybe it'll attract them off, and we'll have fantastic memes.
That is awesome.
So I love that part. It's really fun, and you get to be kind of creative with it and be like, you make an event out of it. It's like, this is a fun thing that we're doing, and it's like going to the comic book shop on a big launch day and doing like, ooh, today only we get like these cool little things, and it's a lot of fun. But then there's like, you have to tell people about it. That's the worst part. It's like, can I just make this stuff and not tell anybody, please? And it's like, no, you have to actually tell people, or no one will know you're doing anything. And I'm like, shoot, let me go to my TikTok and my Twitter and my Instagram and Facebook and be like, guys, every day, guys, I'm making a Kickstarter. And then like every day, like one new person will see it, but like 8 people is like, I know you said that like 8 times already. I'm like, I'm sorry, I hate this too, but I gotta keep telling people, because that one person that sees it every day that's like new is like, oh, I had no idea. And now I'm excited. So
and then
that's the worst part.
And then one of your people tells someone else, and you get in touch with the podcast network, and it works out. Networking helps, right?
Right. It does help. I don't mind like the person to person too much. Like I like doing podcasts because it's so much more personal. It's like, oh, okay, my friend, and like we can be friendly and make more friends and friends and friends. And but then it's like the posting on the social media is like, what do I say? Do I need hashtags? Is this necessary? And I have a really big TikTok account for some random reason. I drew some really hot girls last year, and people really seemed to like that. So, so I'm like trying to do it on there, and like every time I do like a marketing one, it flops. So I'm like, come support my Kickstarter. No one sees them. Dang it! I need to draw more hot ladies.
Surprise, hot ladies do well on the internet. Can't believe it.
Oh no. I try and make sure I do hot men too. I'm an equal opportunity artist.
There you go. Draw all the hotness in both all the genders.
Exactly.
So what is the benefits between doing a Kickstarter and doing, say, traditional publishing?
Definitely the control aspect. So I've seen a lot of people who can make good money doing traditional publishing, and it's great for them. That's what they want. They want to have a book published. I don't want to have a book published. I want to build an empire. So I want, want to be able to make sure that I have complete creative control and nobody can like be like, oh, we need you to end the series in three books. Because that happened to my favorite manga author, Tite Kubo. He's the author of Bleach, and the people in charge, Shonen Jump, were just like, we're done with you in the series. We'll give you like 3-4 more books, and that's it. So he had to rush the entire ending. He's a very slow paced. I don't know if you've ever read the Bleach manga, but they're very slow paced. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, crazy. It sucks. It sucks. I felt so bad for him. And now he's doing another series, and it's like, can you even trust your publisher to not, do that to you again? And like, are you going to invest the same amount of time and effort into something after they've screwed you over like that? Like,
yeah, that'd be.
I don't want.
Yeah, to make anybody gun shy. But on yours, which you just went live, as of this coming out, you will have gone live.
Right.
Yes. You've set a goal of 3,500.
Yes. So
how did you come to that?
More than I would like.
Okay.
But so that's mostly the pricing for fulfilling rewards and the translation. So I found a company in Tokyo who does translations, and I talked to them already, and they said they will do my book, but the price is per 100 words, something like that. So I mean, it's not gouging me, thankfully, but most of that money will go to the translator. And then I have to publish 2 books now. So I have to do the English one and the Japanese one. Both need their own setup fees, their own publishing costs, their own international ISBN, because you can't do anything without that.
That's right.
And then the rewards. So I want to make sure people get their stickers and their posters and their hoodies and physical books and stuff. So at the end of the day, maybe I'll come home with like $100. But yeah, it was funny. I had it at 2,000. I priced it out, and I'm like, that's not gonna work. Good thing I did my math again.
So let me ask this in my complete ignorance, and I'm sure, well, at least I hope there's someone else out there that doesn't understand the process, but what is it that the company that's going to translate it into Japanese is going to do for you? Why isn't it something that you can just like highlight everything that you wrote and just hit some button on Google or Word and change it to Japanese?
That is a good question. Living in Japan really opened my eyes to that, because I used to think, you just throw it in Google Translate and it knows what it's doing. It does not know what it's doing. Don't trust it. Don't trust it. It's gotten a lot better, like small, like one sentence, couple words. It's pretty good on the word to word level. But yeah, as soon as you start trying to get eloquent, it's out the window. It has no idea what you're talking about. So yeah, living here is like, you'll show someone something on Google Translate and they're like, hey, yabai. I'm like, oh, what did I just say to them?
Google Translate doesn't quite get the context, huh?
No. So that's the hardest part, is like, they want me to send them my manuscript, but I feel like if they don't see the images, they're not going to they're not going to translate it right. Because they mostly do legal documents, as most translators do. So I'm like, they're ready and willing to work with me. They have a really good team. I'm like, let me just send you the PDF so you can see the pictures, please. Like, look at the pictures. I beg of you. Because there's a lot that doesn't translate. Half of it's because Japanese is backwards, so their sentence structure is completely opposite of ours. Instead of saying like, that's a bad example. I can't think of a good example. So you would say like, my name is blank, and they would say like, me, and then like name, and then like word. But like, that one's not too bad. But when it comes to like full sentences, you'll have your subject, then you'll have why, and then you'll have context. It's very much, a lot of it's implied too. So it's like, I think they're talking about themselves. They didn't say, and usually when you don't say, it means you. And then I heard something about the newspaper, so we're going that way. And I think she said it was good. And then she's like, oh, and it was last Saturday. Okay. So it's just like totally backwards. Yeah.
That makes
Crazy.
complete sense. That makes sense. I mean, I recently watched Alice in Borderland on Netflix, and I happened to have the subtitles on and had the dubbing on. So it was interesting because what they were saying and what was being typed across, I was like, those are two completely different things. So I could definitely see what you're saying there. I saw that on the Kickstarter page that you sent me, that it will be in traditional left to right for American readers, but as you're going to translate it to Japanese, are you going to have that particular version of the book go the other direction?
I'm not going to, just because I've seen plenty of books here that don't go their typical direction. Like, it's not the most popular thing out there, but they are around, so it's not like the end of the world. And to spend time taking each panel and reformatting it, because I can't just flip it, because then everybody's backwards. So the amount of time it would take to reformat is not quite worth it, seeing as they themselves don't, like, have been introduced to this format. It's not going to be too insane to be like, oh, okay, we're just going the other way right now. You know, they go both ways. Sometimes in the same context, you'll have something going down, you'll have something going this way, you'll have something going that way, and you're like, I can't read this.
It's definitely not going to be a culture shock to them, essentially, is what you're saying.
Right.
As opposed to here, people who don't know about manga will look at the book and be like, why is this completely backwards over here in the States?
Right.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to add, like, I don't know if this manga has it, but probably not because it's in Japanese. But usually when you open up a manga, in the back, there's like, stop, read it the other direction. And I kind of just want to put that in the Japanese version because I think it'd be hilarious to be like, chotto matte, please read the other direction.
I think that's perfect. I think you should do that. Okay, so you've said it a couple times now. Your main character is very much based off of you. So what are the games that you like to play?
Oh, well, obviously role-playing games. I'm super into RPGs, like, especially when I didn't have a lifetime of comics to draw. I was always playing, like, I grew up with Morrowind, was my first RPG, and I just fell in love with it. The sounds, the people, like, the world was moving around you, and I was like, oh, it's amazing. And then we got Oblivion when it came out a few years later, and it was just like a whole nother thing. Like, the step up from Morrowind to Oblivion is just, there's no comparison, like, art-wise. So I was just like, just blown away, and I would spend hours and hours and hours in there just wandering around. And it's just, I love that. It's just makes me so happy. I've also done some MMORPGs I'll dabble in. So I did World of Warcraft really hard through high school. Really hard. Like, my high school routine was come home, eat 2 Hot Pockets, and play WoW until I get yelled at. Was life.
It sounds like a good afternoon.
Yeah. That was the best life. I don't know if it'll ever get to that high again. Hot Pockets in World of Warcraft.
It's definitely a thing to chase. Are you finding time now to play newer games? Not so much.
No, not really. I've been playing Genshin Impact on my phone because it's convenient, and I do love an open world, so it's been fun. But it's a bit casual, you know, and that's all I can really handle right now. Is just something a bit casual. Because when I play a game, I kind of do what my character does, and I go kind of really hard into the roleplay aspect. So I'm really silly about it. I'll spend hours building a character, and I'm like, who are they, and what is their backstory? And then I'll play them as who they are. Not like, so I'll be like, they would do this and they would do that and they would interact with this world in this way. And then I'll make like a hero character and a villain character and a bunch of different characters, but for specific things, instead of just one person to go and do every single thing. I spend a lot of time on it and I just don't have that time.
Yeah, that's fair. It's understandable. So when you need to step away from, creating and working on your project, what is it that you do to turn off the brain, to veg out?
So that is definitely going outside and riding the tandem bike. So yeah, my last name is Tandem. My husband and I have a tandem bike because you just can't not. And it's really fun. I mean, I get to sit on the back and do nothing. So I get to look around and be like, oh, things are pretty. Pedal, pedal, pedal. So we like to go on some longer bike rides. We've done, one of them was like almost 100 miles. And there's no better way to get yourself out of your crazy brain than like physical activity, which sucks, but it's so true. It's like you're out there and you're like dying going up this hill and you're not worried about crap. You're just like, my body. So yeah, that's a great way to just reset. It's like, we'll have some fun, get some fresh air, see some new places. It's great in Japan. There's lots of cool places. It's very bikeable here too. Less that they made it specifically for biking and more just a lot of people ride their bikes, so people are kind of used to it. So it's pretty nice to just go out and about and not worry too much. You know, people are used to it. They're looking for bikers. They're not going as fast as they do in America.
So, where were you from in the States?
Who knows? I've moved around my whole life.
Okay.
My mom is what you would call a vagabond.
Okay.
Or a gypsy. Probably a vagabond, though. I don't know. She wouldn't mind either. But
Just
so
very nomadic.
Spent a lot of time in Washington State, some time in Idaho, Montana, Oregon, and then I spent my high school years in Arizona, which is where I met my husband in Arizona. And we moved to Michigan for our first adult life. That was cold. Then we moved to Oregon and then to here. Just kind of all over, more on that like California side. Like I've got like the California accent, I guess. But that's how I met our friend. Is like I used to live in Yuma.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense that we were able to connect through that.
Yeah.
So then when you moved to Japan, was it an easy transition since you'd always been moving around, or was it completely different, like shock to you?
It was, so as I've gotten older, my anxiety has gotten worse.
Uh-huh.
So I went into full panic attack mode for like 2 full months. It was awful. I gave myself like weird, like digestive issues and stuff. And I get to Japan and I'm like half dead. It was not okay. So, but it's like, it's not that scary here. It's like, yeah, there are some weird foods, but there are some regular foods. I'm like, why was I so scared? If you're going to move to a foreign country, like, just know that it's still life, and like people are people and everybody's living and it's the same. It's like, yeah, there's differences. Yeah, I get homesick, but it's not that bad. And I made a big deal out of it. I was freaking out. So I was not okay.
No.
So that was one of the harder moves of our life. I thought it would be easy. I was like, it's just Japan. I've been there once. It's great, right? And like as it gets closer, it's like biting my nails and freaking out. It's like, why did I do that to myself?
Well, new experiences, it will help to make you a better writer. So, when you're, what is it that you love to geek out about that's not part of your creation, your normal gaming or comics or manga?
Oh, that's hard. What do I geek out about that isn't in my genre? Well, I love Steam Powered Giraffe. Have you heard of them? They're a musical group.
I do not know them.
They're fantastic. I don't have a lot of time or energy as an adult to really become like a mega fan like I used to. Like I used to fangirl about everything. But one of the few things that have held is like Steam Powered Giraffe. They dress up as robots and they put on this whole skit about like they have like a whole backstory and world building and they do music. So they're just like in their songs, you can pick up things about like the backstory and the history of these robots who are playing the music. And it's just fantastic. They're amazing. I love them so much.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great. Which brings me to when you are creating, like, what's your environment like? Do you have music on? Do you have a TV on for white noise? Like, or do you need it completely silent?
I have to have something playing. My brain is loud and obnoxious. So there's got to be something to like distract me so that I can focus, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
When I'm writing, I'll either do silent or like light jazz because I need that insanity. But when I'm drawing, it's like, I need this to shush. So I'll put on like I went through the entire Dragon Ball series last year just because I needed something. And I'm like, Dragon Ball's long. So I did all of Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z. And then I started getting tired of the yelling. I'll switch between audiobooks and music and stuff. I used to do Spotify a lot, but the ads have gotten insane and ain't no girl can afford premium yet. Shoot. Maybe one day. I'll like pick up an audiobook here or there. I love Brandon Sanderson's Skyward series. The main character is like me when I was 10. She's so angry. I love her. It's great. But,
So if you had one piece of advice for anybody that's listening that would want to venture into something like this, what would that piece be?
Well, it really depends on what you want. So if you want to build something larger than life and bigger than yourself, you need to realize that it's going to take all of yourself to do that. And if you're willing to not have a social life or, and put in so much effort into something, then great. But if you're not willing to put your all into it, I definitely think you should think small and start small. And even if you want to conquer the world, you definitely need to start small as well. So the thing that helped me the most was Maiden in Disguise version 1. I had all these stories. I wanted to do something. And I was just like, okay, we're going to do something. I have to make something or I'll never learn. So pick something small and do that. Make it, show it to people. Preferably post it online because that will build your skin and help you get thicker skin and learn about, all that aspect. I mean, everything's online now. Digital is like the future. We can see it. We can't stop it. It's coming. So yeah, it's something. And Maiden in Disguise is not my baby. It isn't my original story. It's not the reason I started this. It is something that has become its own thing and beautiful as it has grown and developed. So it's okay to do something crappy. Just do it. Make something sucky. Make something ugly. Make something stupid. Just make something, please. And one day you'll be like, I'm going to redo this 10 times better. And you'll feel great about it. So, a lot of people say, just start something. And I don't know where to start. Start with something you don't care about and make it bad and make it consistently. Figure it out. And you'll get there. It'll take longer than you think.
Yeah. That's great. That's great advice right there. It's speaking of the world, like you said, how, this has a huge world to it. Do you have certain pieces in that world that no one else is ever going to see, that it's just for you?
Probably, because I'm doing it a little different. So we've built this planet, and I have a bunch of stories taking place on it. So you will get to see a lot of it. A lot of people world build like a hollow iceberg, which is great for novels, and especially if you're only doing one world, make a hollow iceberg. Get enough that you can seem like a full, beautiful planet. Don't spend your whole life nitpicking, just make your book. But if you're doing something like we're doing with Eotera, which is building an entire community around the world, an entire entertainment empire, I guess, because it's not just Maiden in Disguise. We've got Dirigible, Flight of the Deckernaut coming up soon. We've got not Samurai. I keep saying Samurai because I like samurais, but she's a warrior girl. Has a different name. So there's a samurai-esque comic coming up later, and there's like a whole bunch. And then, so we make sure we stay on, continuity level. Made this sucker. This was our first Kickstarter.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's like a magazine, but like if you go to like Tokyo and you're like, man, I would love to know about Japan. Oh, look at that magazine that's got, a visitor guide. Let me pick it up. So we did that for the planet. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And there's like the art is so. This map is just I will never get tired of looking at this map. It is beautiful. It is so colorful. Like Damien Mamoletti, I can't say his last name. He did the map, and he did the maps for StarCraft as well. I love his work. And so we did a Kickstarter to afford to pay him to do the map, and it went great. We went like over 200%, and we were able to print the physical books. And now it's like anytime we're like, wait a second, what's going on here? We need to make sure that this is right. We'll double check the guide. And so it's like, yes. Like, I can't remember. Did this hot springs smell like melons or lemons? Let me check. It's lemons. Hot springs smell like lemons.
I love it. It's good. That reference guide is a great thing to check back on. So,
yeah.
Last question.
It is free if anybody wants it.
Good. Where can they find that at?
So any of my links, I've got like my link tree. It's the top link in the link tree. It'll be like, join our email list and get a free ebook. You get the free ebook. And I send out an email about once a month, unless there's a Kickstarter, then like twice. So this is, I don't have time to sit around and write as the person who sits around and writes all day. So, but yeah, it's really great. It's a fun little read, and you can see like the seal deers from North Uldrania, and like it's just there's so much, and it's beautiful. It's difficult though. We've been having trouble with like economy, religion. It's like I don't know how to. I don't even want. Like I just don't even want to add religion in because it's such a touchy topic.
Right.
And it's like Maiden in Disguise and all of my stuff is already controversial. I don't need more controversy. So right now, there has not been established a religion system on Eotera. We're trying to establish like how much is an Eoteran credit worth? How much money is like, how do the biologies of these people who are technically aliens work? Because they're not humans. They don't have the same stuff. Like it's different, not too different, but different enough that it's important to know. And it's just like, man, I need an expert. I need to talk to somebody about this. It's like, how much should an Eoteran credit be worth? I don't know. Would a half credit get you a stick of gum, or would a whole credit get you a stick of gum? Just crazy.
I love it. So, yes, last question. It's kind of it's a weird question. Ask it on a lot of my interviews, but if you could have one completely useless superpower, what would it be? And it has to be useless.
Useless?
Yep.
No. What I would give for telepathy. Useless. What is a useless superpower? Well, suppose my husband would say something like, running the speed of light because you can't actually do that. You just die, so it would be useless because you couldn't use it. I don't know.
I mean, you could, if you wanted to have telepathy, you could have telepathy, but it's like it's translated in a language that you just don't understand. So now it's completely useless.
Right, or like telekinesis, but it's like Oblivion style where you have to pick something up and it's like you like barely touch it and it's like wobbling around. You pick up a sword in Oblivion and it's like you're picking up with 2 fingers and it's just like wobbling around and you're like, oh shoot, and it falls. Dang it, every time. Never gets over to me. Never. Probably something like that. Or turning into a cat, because you can't do a lot as a cat. But it'd be nice.
There you go. I love it. That any one of the 3 would work. So, okay. What's the best way that people can 1 find you, 2 find the Kickstarter, and 3 find out more about Eoterra?
So I would say finding me on Instagram is probably the best place because it's like, I don't know, I like it the most. I like pictures. So my Instagram is Bitsy Tandem. I'm the only Bitsy Tandem. And then it's also _the_Bitzer, which is my gamer tag. If you want to find me on Steam, I don't play a lot anymore, but my gamer tag is the Bitzer. So it's Bitsy Tandem, the Bitzer. If you type in Bitsy Tandem, I am the only thing that comes up. So super easy to Google. Small and then tandem like the bike. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then the Kickstarter is under Maiden in Disguise. And it should come right up in the Kickstarter, launch thing. But if you find me anywhere, I have links. I've got my link tree. It's like the 2nd one, 3rd one on there. I don't know. But it's on there. It's big and bold. Kickstarter. So nice and simple. Maiden in Disguise. Bitsy Tandem. Very searchable.
And all those will also be in the show notes of the podcast in case you need to just click on the links there. So
fantastic.
Thank you again for coming on the show. This was great. I hope it wasn't too painful for you and you had a good time.
Thanks. I definitely think I'll be trying for 8 next time. 7's like I got to get up at 6.
It's just a little early for you. It's understandable.
It's a little early. I'm not an early person. I'll work all night, but don't get me up at 6. I'll scream.
If you want to talk to me, I'm at Mitchipedia GEM on Twitter. The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts from our network on our website, geekelitemedia.com. But until next time, sorry. But until next time, this is Hey Mitch on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.